special thank you to Brad for setting up this breakfast this morning. We really appreciate it. We are less than a month away from this election, and although Drew is amazing and great, we need you guys to help us win this election. So if you can make a couple phone calls for us or knock your neighbors' doors and simply remind them to vote in a couple of weeks, we would greatly appreciate it. My name is Chelsea, and I can help you, but Amy Miggy, who was just speaking, also has all the information locally. She's been setting up Ponca City and Ponca and other door knocking opportunities and phone banking. So please get in touch with her on Facebook, Kate County Democrats, or you can email her. I've got her email if anyone needs it. You can also call the campaign office at any time and speak with me, and I can send you a virtual phone bank you can do from home. So thank you all so much for being here, and now I will let Drew speak as who he came to hear.
I was doing selfies. Thank you for all those introductions. I appreciate it very much. Very pleased that Senator Paul Maggie's here with us today. Thank you, Paul, for being here. And one of my great friends, many years, Fred Betcher is here. Great American. I appreciate your coming here, Fred. I actually sent you a text this morning asking if you were going to be around town. Oh, well. I should have known where you'd be. I do appreciate everybody being here. The campaign's going well. We had a big night last night. I don't know if you saw it on Facebook or heard about it. We had Kelly O'Hara, Tony Award winning Broadway actress, did The King and I, and on Oklahoma's 100th anniversary, 2007, she was the lead at the Lyric Theater downtown Oklahoma City in Oklahoma. So they reprised that for the 100th year. She was here, 2,000 people in the auditorium. It was a great night. She did a super job, and I was a non-believer. Kelly offered to do a concert, and I said, yeah, I hope it works. You know, let me go run around the state and do what I do, and if that turns out all right. I couldn't believe how well organized it was. We had volunteers setting the thing up. They had tickets, assigned seat tickets for everybody. Free concert, but we did have a reception ahead of time to try to raise a little money to pay for the free concert. But it was a great evening. And Kelly O'Hara, who is Oklahoma, you know, she was born in Tulsa, raised in Elk City, and went to school in Oklahoma City and OCU. They produce so many. Christian Chenoweth, OCU, their fine arts program produces some really talented people, and she's one of them, and I'm glad she's here, and I'm glad she's for me. But enough about that. How are things in Ponca City? How's K County? Everything going well? Yeah. All right. Your schools need some help? Yeah. How are the hospitals and clinics? Did they stand the Medicaid expansion?
Yes.
Yeah. Should we opt into Medicaid expansion? Get some additional our tax dollars back into the states? Got a friend who just texted me the other day that his hospital, Steve Brindley, the mayor of Wilburton, his hospital just went under. And that you know, for that area, it's a long drive to McAllister or to Poco or somewhere else if you need medical care. And the same thing at Falls Valley, the hospital's having a GoFundMe, trying to raise money to keep their hospital open. Eufaula Hospital closed, Sayre Hospital closed. 8 years ago, the governor made the decision that we weren't going to opt in to the Medicaid expansion. We're going to send hundreds of millions of our tax dollars to other states to take care of the medical needs of people in Minnesota or California or Pennsylvania, instead of taking care of the medical needs of our own citizens. That just doesn't make sense to me. And we're going to opt in at the earliest opportunity. There's now 10% match, but you inject $900 million into the economy, you're going to get that 10% back in increased revenue. So that is not a problem. and we need to keep our hospitals open and take care of the medical needs of 153,000 Oklahomans who work full-time and earn too much to qualify for Medicaid and not enough to opt into the subsidy for the insurance pool. They're stuck in the middle, and we get stuck with their hospital bill. So we can fix that, and we're going to. But number one, this year, last year, number one, this decade, is what are we going to do about education? We're tired of being at the bottom on teacher salaries, tired on being at the bottom on capital expenditures for our kids. And this year we set another record. Last year we had nearly 2,000 emergency certified teachers. They're people who are smart, I guess, they're well educated, and they may be fine people, but they aren't fully qualified to teach our kids. Last year we nearly hit 2,000. This year we started with over 2,000 and have gone now to about 2,600. That is just the most graphic evidence of our teacher shortage. And it translates into larger class sizes and fewer courses being offered. 30% of our school districts today no longer offer a foreign language, even though it is a requirement for admission to most of our colleges and universities. That's just wrong. We are shortchanging our kids. And when you shortchange your kids and shortchange their education, you're shortchanging your own future and the future of this state. We're going to stop shortchanging education, and we're going to start funding it, making sure our teachers are adequately paid, making sure our class sizes start coming down. And I was reminded correctly just a little while ago to never forget to also talk about higher ed. It has been cut more than any other state in the nation. And career techs, we think they're okay because they've got the property tax, but they've been cut too. They get appropriated dollars, and those dollars have been cut at the state level. We cannot grow. We cannot attract the best industries to come into the state of Oklahoma if we shortchange education. We have to stop that, fund our schools, and they will take care of our future. I have been neglectful in not introducing, at least to me, the most important person in the room, the chairman of the Edmondson for Governor campaign, my wife for the last 51 years. Please welcome Linda Edmondson.
You know that old joke about we've been married for 34 delightful years out of 51? I didn't tell that. We've been married, it's been almost perfect the whole time. I have to tell you, I was a skeptic about how many people would get up on a rainy morning in Ponca City on Monday at 7:30 to come hear a political deal. And I am just blown away by those of you that were willing to come. And you know, the work that you did this morning is appreciated, but the work you'll do in the next month is the difference between winning and losing this race, because turnout is most important. And I'm going to say the R word. There are Republicans that support us and actually have yard signs in their yard, and it's everywhere across the state. We are delighted with that. We welcome anybody. You can't make progress in Oklahoma if you can't work across party lines. And that's the reality today, and that's where we are. And you, I know, we're just getting ready to say that, but I said it for you.
Those of you who've been married over 5 years, you know your spouse can complete your sentences for you. Amy, I think it was, accredited Linda with talking me into doing this. Anybody here ever heard of the book, Women Are From Venus, Men Are From Mars? You know the theory? Different reasons for talking about that. Women talk about problems because it helps them get through them. And they aren't looking for solutions necessarily. They just want to talk about what's going on. Men are oriented, they don't want to hear a problem unless they can do something about it. And if they can't do anything about it, then they don't want to hear about it. That's why men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Linda gets the credit because more than me, she was the one reading the front page of the Oklahoman every morning saying, did you see what happened in education? Or did you see what happened in health? And I was sitting there from Mars saying, well, you want me to run? You want me to run? And finally, at the end of that process, he did say, well, I guess you better. So the race is on. It is. I'm going to throw it open for questions, but I just want you to know at the outset, it's not a month, it's 29 days.
Oh,
So, and tomorrow we are exactly 4 weeks off from election, 28 days. So we are counting down, it's getting close, it's going to take a lot of work. We're going from here to Ponca to Bartlesville and back to Oklahoma City, and then we're in Tulsa tomorrow. This is going to be non-stop for the next 29 days. But I can't do it, Linda can't do it all by ourselves. We are counting on you to spread the message, to talk to people in your neighborhood, in your church, in your civic club. Tell them that this race is important and we need every vote on November the 6th. With that, any questions, issues? Yes.
I just want to say for the benefit of our local representatives too, I moved back here 2 years ago, and the first thing that people told me was, do not go to a doctor in Cape Town. If you want to live, you need to go up to Wichita, you need to go to Tulsa, you need to go to Oklahoma City, but there is no medical services, you know, for our age in Ponca City, and that shocked me. And then I started substitute teaching here just to keep my mind active, and because I'm writing something about education. And I just couldn't believe how large the classroom sizes were. And all the teacher can do is just manage the class. Forget the content. And there was no civic education being taught. And that used to be required in Oklahoma. In order to graduate from Oklahoma in the 70-ish, I had to take a course in Oklahoma history. Yes. It's not there anymore. So yes, education, the medical care, you guys go. Help us, please.
And contrast that with Texas, when I think Texas history is a requirement every year you're in school.
That's right.
It just seems that way. They're imbued in it. A lot of problems facing our state. We have health issues. Our life expectancy has actually been downgraded in Oklahoma, and that is, you don't expect that, you know, in an industrial nation, in a state that is part of the 21st century. You do not expect your life expectancy to go down, but it has in Oklahoma. We have 3 communities in Oklahoma that are at the top of the list for low life expectancy. Number 1 is Stillwell over in Adair County, but also on the list are Shakota and Eufaula both in McIntosh. Their life expectancy in those 3 towns are in the 50s.
Wow.
In the 50s in Oklahoma. And it's because we have shortchanged so many things in the health arena that we need to turn that around and start doing things a little bit better. The opting into the Medicaid expansion is not a cure-all, but it's a step toward getting that accomplished. I sued the tobacco industry, and at the end of that lawsuit, we got a judgment. Money was coming into the state. Wisely decided to put that money in a trust protected by the Constitution and only spend the interest and earnings. And I go through all that, number 1, because I'm very proud of it. I filed a lawsuit against the tobacco industry. I was on the negotiating team in New York, and Robert Butkin and I co-sponsored the constitutional amendment. So the Oklahoma Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust. The point of that is, now that they have over $1 billion in the trust and are spending tens of millions on cancer research, adult stem cell research, and other medical issues, they also have a program where they will pick up the medical school expenses of a doctor who will agree to serve for a period of time in a medically deprived area of the state. And things like that have made me very proud of the record that I accomplished as Attorney General, and it also makes me excited about what I can do as governor, thinking a little bit outside the box, taking a problem, figuring out how to approach it, how to get all the pieces together on it. I look forward to doing things like that in the health arena, in education, and the other needs of state government. And working across party lines, as Linda mentioned earlier. The House and Senate are both going to be Republican come January. It's going to be a new legislature. Regardless of what happens in November, there are going to be at least 44 new members of a 101-member House of Representatives. So this is a new legislature. If they share the goal of making education work, if they share the goal of making our state government efficient and effective, I can work with them. I don't care what their party label is. If they want our schools to fail, I'll just have to work around it. But we can get the job done.
Being from southeastern Oklahoma, I'm very saddened about Tallahassee losing the veterans. Now we have other cities that's wanting to move McAllister Photo, but you have the facility in Tallahassee. Is there any way that maybe this could be saved for the veterans?
I'm going to do everything that I can to do it. I've visited the Veterans Center at Tallahassee. I've talked to people who are residents there, veterans, who not only are getting excellent care, in their opinion, they're getting excellent care, but they also love that site. And I doubt if very many people here have ever been to the Veterans Center in Tallahassee. Years ago, some of the buildings up there were a tuberculosis center. So it's located in a very picturesque location. It's on the top of a hill, a great view. They have newer facilities that are for the veterans. The old tuberculosis buildings are boarded up. They're not in use anymore. It is a beautiful center, and the residents love it there. And for heaven's sakes, they're the ones who sacrificed. They're the ones who went to war. They're the ones who sacrificed their health in order to protect this country and this state. The least we can do is serve them as they served us. And I'm going to do my best to keep that center open. With all due apologies to Ponca and McAllister and the other places that would like to have it, the people who are there want it to stay where it is. And I'm going to try to do what they want with their center. Yeah.
I have a question about the Medicaid work requirement.
Yeah.
Is there anything at this stage of the game that can be done to block them tossing 6,000 people off Medicaid?
And the short answer to the question is I don't know in the short term. I am not in favor of the work requirement as written. There is a work ineligibility for Medicaid. You know, so it's not like we have a whole bunch of able-bodied men on Medicaid. You know, people on Medicaid are either people with disabilities or people with small children where they need to stay home and take care of them. And yes.
When you get through, I do know a little detail.
I should have just deferred to Linda.
That's all right.
Linda's career was as a medical social worker. MSW, LCSW, all those initials that I have trouble keeping track of. One other thing I wanted to mention though, in the places where they have done that, it is most often used to knock somebody off the rolls that they later have to reverse and bring back on because they missed a filing period, they missed a notice requirement.
Don't have internet service.
Don't have internet, all kinds of reasons. They are eligible. And when people talk about auditing Medicaid, I want everybody to understand Medicaid is audited every year. And our system through the Healthcare Authority uniformly receives the highest marks from the federal government on our audits. Less than 2% in terms of people that shouldn't be on or errors or things of that nature. We do a terrific job in Oklahoma. We've had good people in charge of the program, which is why that's true. But Anyway,
Yeah, let
Yes.
me just add a little bit. My understanding is that what Oklahoma is in the process of doing, or may have already done, is apply to the federal government for a Medicaid waiver to add this work requirement. So I think that the comment period is over.
Yeah, it ended the 3rd.
But there was a lot of work that I was seeing of people, on the internet trying to get people to comment to make some of these points that you're making. So it would have to be approved at the federal level, and I think in some other states that that have already have a Medicaid work requirement, that's been challenged in court because of these very reasons, that some of the rules are so complicated that you cannot expect people can hit the mark, particularly the ones, I'm not sure Oklahoma's requirement would be this way. In some states, the only way you can sign up and re-sign up and validate your work is online. Which means, at least in Oklahoma, you gotta go into town, you gotta go to the library or somewhere where you can get online. Very complex and perhaps unfair rules about how you go about proving, are you working, are you in training, or are you truly, are you unable to do any of that, and to keep your Medicaid eligibility.
Yeah, and I want to add too that the legislator who co-sponsored the bill for that the governor signed is running for insurance commissioner now. Already. Might be.
Kimberly Fobbs is also running for insurance commissioner. She knows a lot about insurance and would be an excellent commissioner. And Linda, y'all know that if I get elected governor, the governor gets paid a salary. You get Linda for free. Are there other questions? Yes.
Are either you or your going to talk about prison reform?
I've been talking about prison reform. I've been talking about adopting the Department of Mental Health Smart on Crime proposal to start putting drug, alcohol, and mental health treatment facilities available, because over 90% of the people in prison have an underlying drug, alcohol, or mental health problem. Everybody knows that. Every study has shown it. But we're not doing enough to meet those problems before they result in the commission of a felony, and people end up going to prison. We passed 780, which made simple possession of drugs a misdemeanor, and that should be a step toward bringing down the prison population. Personally, I think we need to look at other crimes like simple possession of marijuana, things like shoplifting, bogus checks, maybe even DUI, and say, and this, I don't know if I can get the legislature to do it, or this will have to go on the ballot too, but say this is against the law, you're going to be punished, but this crime is no longer prison eligible. Even if you do it 2 or 3 times, we got people in prison because the DA and judge just ran out of patience. You know, and what David Walters used to say, we're putting people in prison because we're mad at them instead of we're afraid of them. And
That's
prison
right.
cells should be reserved for those we're afraid of, not those we're just mad at. And I was a DA for 10 years, and even when I was a prosecutor, I would tell a civic club, if you think there are too many nonviolent prisoners in our prisons, you're probably right. Here's what you gotta do. Either take these offenses like shoplifting and say it's no longer prison eligible, or get your checkbook out. Oh, those are only 2 choices you've got. Because if you say they're going to prison after the 3rd, 4th, or 5th time, and this is particularly true of DUI, they will get there. They will get there. If we don't have treatment for them and they just keep committing their offense. So we end up with bogus check writers in prison, and that costs us $20,000 to $30,000 a year instead of $3,000 to $5,000 to treat the underlying problem. So I know I'm talking about prison reform and bringing the prison population down. I take that back. The libertarian candidate would simply get rid of all the laws. You know, so if you don't have any laws, then you aren't sending anybody else to prison. I'm not sure how practical that is, but he would do more for prison reform than I would. So I think mine makes more sense. Yes?
Here, one of the things in K County that some of us deal with is doing business and stuff here is the fact that the so-called middle class has just been squeezed so tight with what they make, okay? And so underlying that, how do you stand on minimum wage, and as far as, you know, the federal government's trying to push down here where, you know, that you can't raise the minimum wage in some states. The governor's position is real important on minimum wage, and how do you stand on it?
I think the minimum wage ought to go up. I think talking the legislature into doing it is gonna be a tough sell unless the federal minimum wage goes up first, because we usually track the federal minimum wage on that score. There was another question about whether the cities should be preempted from raising the minimum wage within the city limits. And I do not favor preemptions. I think municipal government ought to be able to make decisions on its own on any number of things. The one I got mad at first back in the day was when cities were preempted on smoking. Cities couldn't decide where you can smoke or where you couldn't smoke. And that didn't make sense to me. People in those cities ought to be deciding how they want their city to be run in that arena. And minimum wage may be another one where we ought to give the cities a free reign to do what they think's in the best interest of their communities. Yes?
How do you keep a state level industry and jobs in the state? Companies are moving out. I was a victim of international companies that moved to Texas. We've had other companies that also moved down.
There's a federal, I think it's called the WARN Act, where a company's supposed to give notice to the employees if they're gonna close down or move. There are exceptions to that, and sometimes the warning is observed in the breach where you find out after the fact that you're gonna be closed the next week instead of 3 months or 6 months down the road. I think the biggest thing that a governor can do is make sure the opportunities are here for business to expand or to locate, rather than having another state be more attractive than we are here in the state of Oklahoma. And we're gonna work on that, and frankly, it does start with education. It starts with investment in our own people. We have to make sure that the incentives that we're prepared to offer to a new company would also be available to an existing company to expand. You know, why offer a company from Texas money that we wouldn't offer Ditch Witch or somebody else to build a second plant right in the same location? So I'm open to suggestions. There are a couple of things that I've thought about, but I'm sure there are other things we can do to keep that from happening.
I agree with what you said about retraining and stuff like that. It's there, but where do you go from there? You know, if you get retrained, you have to move out around the state.
Yeah, there needs to be another job there for you. You have to know what you're retraining for.
Well, wouldn't we get more businesses if we had an educated workforce?
We would, and a lot of businesses complain. You know, we have very low unemployment in Oklahoma right now, and a lot of businesses are complaining today that they can't get the skilled workers that they need to fill positions that are open. And it's, you know, there are enough problems there that every once in a while I scratch my head and say, now why am I doing this? But there are answers to most of those questions and most of those problems. We just have to be willing to sit down and recognize that it's a problem and then figure out what we're gonna do to address it. I don't think it helped fill the void in skilled workers by cutting the budget to our career tech. We've just been doing some things that are absolutely backwards in terms of what our objective ought to be. You know, we want new high-tech businesses, but we cut funding to the Department of Commerce. We cut funding to the Oklahoma Center for the Advancement of Science and Technology, OCAS. OCAS funds a group called I2E, which provides startup money for entrepreneurs in high-tech industry. So when OCAS got their funding cut, I2E got its funding cut. We're going backwards. You know, we're doing the opposite of what we need to be doing to grow the state. And we're gonna change that. We're gonna start moving forward instead of backwards. Other questions?
I'm sorry, all the ads that I've seen about you so far in Ponca City is that you're gonna raise taxes on everything. I mean, that's all they say, over and over and over again. So, what do I say when somebody goes, I don't want you, because he's gonna raise my taxes?
You seen the ad with the cows?
Yes.
I'm here to report that those are not Oklahoma cows. We're checking this out. We believe those cows have appeared in other ads, which make them professional actor cows. So don't listen to an outside agitator.
You think we're gonna turn up some rallies?
They may. We're having cow rallies. I've said three things on taxes. We're gonna put the gross production tax back at 7%, where it used to be.
Yes.
We're gonna do away with the capital gains loophole on income tax. That 70% of the benefit goes to people who earn over $1 million. And we're gonna go back to paying ordinary income tax on capital gains. And I want the other 50 cents on a pack of cigarettes. It was introduced at $1.50. It actually passed at $1.50, but it didn't get the 75% vote. And it ended up passing at $1. I want the other 50 cents. That's it. Those three.
What about the,
Anybody says I'm gonna raise your income tax, they're not telling you the truth.
what about the inheritance tax? The deficit caused by the lack of our inheritance tax for the last, I don't know, 7, 10 years, something like that. The last time I looked was $250 million less in revenue for 1 year. And I thought, well, that's where the deficit, that's where we should put that in education.
It would be nice to have that for education. If the legislature will pass it, I'll sign it. What we have done in Oklahoma was we have raised the cap on inheritance tax, where if you inherit, what is the figure now? It's 1 or 2 million, isn't it? If your inheritance is less than that, you don't pay any inheritance tax. And I really think that's a better approach than saying you don't pay any inheritance tax at all.
Can you talk about state question 801?
By number, which one is that?
That's the one that would allow local school districts to.
Yeah, 801 reports to allow local school districts flexibility. Unfortunately, it's the 5 mills that's now set aside for capital improvements. There are very few districts in the state that aren't already tapped out on their 5 mills. Now, if you start talking about increasing that 5 mills, then what my opponent is, I'm against it.
Yeah.
And I haven't run into yet, to this day, unless there's one in the room, a school teacher, an administrator, a principal, or anybody else involved in education that thinks this is a good idea. So I'm voting no on it. I think it will increase disparity between districts, where rich districts will be all right, but the poor districts are gonna be hurt even more. And so I am not in favor of that, and to the extent they're talking about raising ad valorem, and what they're talking about is funding education through your property taxes instead of through legislative dollars out of Oklahoma City. So they'd rather you pay more property taxes than big oil and gas pay their fair share. And to me, that's a non-starter. So we want oil and gas to pay their fair share at 7%, and we want millionaires to start paying their taxes on capital gains. And that's the direction I would go, rather than taxing farmers more than they're being taxed today. Other questions? Yes, Brett.
Well, I don't have a question, but I gotta get up and just say 1 or 2 things that I think are not talked about this morning that are very important to all of us. And if they're not very important to all of us, we need to rethink our priorities on it. You know, the character of the government in this state has changed so much over the last 25 years. It's just incredible. I think this election is so important to have this man as our governor to, and it will happen if he's elected, he will completely change the character of our government. So now the door's open to the oil industry. It's open to the wealthy. It's open to the guys that worry about paying the capital gains tax that make $800,000 a year. Boy, that's a tough one for me to worry about, I'll tell you. And we all ought to feel that way, feel sensitive about our responsibilities to go to the polls and elect people that will carry what's fair and reasonable to the people in order to support the growth of this community and its well-being. The whole state is involved in that. I just feel so strongly about it, it's hard for me to talk about. And you know, and those of you who've known me many years, I can talk as long as you want me to, but that's normally not been a problem. And I hope you realize that never in the history of the state, in my judgment, have we ever had the opportunity to completely change the character of our government. And that's why I feel that this is is the most important governor's race that I've ever been involved in. And I've been involved in a bunch of them since Henry Bellman. You know, there was a guy that turned out to be the last guy who's done a hell of a lot for education in Oklahoma, I'll tell you for sure. And it's just amazing that we've gone this long and just treaded water, fearful of making the oil industry mad or the banking industry mad. These are all things that would help me just to be for the oil companies and be for the banks. But that's not fair and it's not right. And it reflects on our character as people that allow people to get elected that have that insensitivity to the needs of the entire electorate. That's right. Now that's what it's all about. I've known this kid forever. He's a kid to me, boy. I use that word all the time. My wife says, "What are you talking about, a kid? He went to high school with you." 50-some years, almost 60 years ago, or whatever it was. But that we really, this guy, I've watched him sacrifice his entire career for public service. Now, you know, and his daddy was my hero when I was a youngster, like some of you guys. This one over here, for example. And I just thought he was a hero because he was really a guy that you looked at and talked to, and he really was for what he felt was right. And it may be different than what I thought, but I made me go home and think my position. And he's got a younger brother that's on the Supreme Court that's a kid that he and I shared a seat on a desk in Washington, D.C., working in the U.S. Senate back in, God, I don't know, 1800s. It was a long time ago. And there's not a blemish in that bunch. They're good people. They will bring their character to us, and we then will insist from now on that we'll have great people with great character leading this state. And I just beg you to go out and talk to everybody you can. If you got 5 friends, call them that morning. 5 times 300,000 people will win it. It'll win it, you know. These things can be won if you just stay with it, and you gotta have a candidate. We haven't always had a great candidate. I'll be the first guy to say. But we've, in most cases, and well, in all the cases since Bellman, I'd say we had the right candidate. But we know we've got one here. You don't see any of that stuff you saw on these other governor races about this guy, because it ain't there, let me tell you. So if that starts, you know what to say about it. It is bullshit, whatever. I've said a lot of people. Please help this guy, and it'll help me, it'll help you, and it'll help, more than important than us, our future generation and our people. Thanks.
Thank you.
Before we finish up, we ought to introduce Chelsea, because she will be here if people want to help out. She can take the names, give them back to people here for organization, and if you live somewhere else, she can spread that word.
We will introduce you, Chelsea, in just a second. A couple of things to add, and then I will introduce Chelsea. One is, we're not going to use the bull spit at or anything close to it in the campaign. I don't think it helped Mick, and I don't intend to use it. I do have one comment, and I'm sure everybody in here saw the ad. That little old lady at the end, I watched it 3 or 4 times, and I don't think she was saying spit. It may still be on YouTube if you want to go check it out. The other thing is, I was AG for 16 years and enjoyed every minute of it. I enjoyed the work, I enjoyed the challenges, I enjoyed being your Attorney General. I didn't realize that I was sacrificing until I left office and got an offer to come into a law firm. I went, you're kidding. Anyway, I enjoyed the sacrifice, Fred. Thank you for making it. And take it away, Chelsea.
Okay, so just like Fred said, thank you so much. Please call your friends, your families. We have lots of people who typically only vote in presidential elections. I can give you their phone numbers and you can call them and remind them to vote in the midterm elections. So please come see me, come find me, we can exchange emails. I will be in touch, and I know Amy Niggy's been doing door knocking. I will gladly come up here, we can meet here again, and we can go out and knock the doors and remind everyone that there's a big election coming up. So it's super easy, it's super fun. The first time I did it, I said I was never gonna do it again. I was gonna do it once, just to say I did so, and here I am doing it for a living now. You will be surprised, the people you meet on doors, the stories that you hear, and the people are like, I'm gonna set a reminder on my phone right now to vote this election. And so every vote counts in these elections. We just listened to a podcast this morning about the presidential election between Bush and Gore and how 500 some odd votes decided that. So this may be a little bit closer than what we would like, but every vote will count. Every person you talk to